Assalamualaikum and welcome back to another video by Sir Shazwan. Today we'll be looking at persuasive speech, which is part of oral presentation. So without further ado, let's look at what we'll be looking at. So for this one, the content, we'll be looking at what is persuasion, the definition of persuasion, what persuasion is about, and then the types of persuasive speeches, there are several, and then how to organize persuasive speech. For this one, we'll be using Monroe's motivated sequence. So it will be explained more in a bit. And then we have some sample persuasive speech using Monroe's motivated sequence. Right? So let's look at what is persuasion. Persuasion is creating, reinforcing, changing people's belief or actions toward something. So when you want to persuade someone, you want to ask them to do something, maybe you want them to believe the same thing that you want, that you are believing in, that is persuasion. So persuasive speaker acts as an advocate, and the topics are controversial in nature because they involve people's attitudes, beliefs, and action. For example, maybe you want to talk about the importance of learning soft skills in life. So it's quite controversial, and you can argue that it might be important or it might not be important. So maybe if you want to persuade them to think that it is important to have soft skills, so that is how you persuade. You want to change their beliefs. Maybe they don't believe that you need soft skills, so you persuade, then they will maybe believe in you, right? So mental dialogue. To be effective persuasive speakers, regard your speeches as mental dialogues with the audience, okay? You put yourself in the place of the audience and imagine how they will respond, okay? Because you are trying to convince them to believe the same thing as you are believing in. So you must be putting yourself in their place. You must have empathy, because people have their own beliefs, they have own things that they prefer or no, right? So if you are putting yourself in the people's place, so you can imagine what are going into through their minds, so that maybe you can use certain persuasive words that will try to convince them to believe in you, okay? And then if you're putting yourself in the audience place, you can anticipate the objections and answer them in the speech, because sometimes when they want clarification, they will ask you to clarify more, and then that is where you have to answer so that they will be satisfied with what you said. So when you are putting yourself in their situation, and then they will be able to relate it better, okay? Right, there are several types of persuasive speech: questions of fact, question of value, and questions of policy. Question of fact meaning that you are trying to see whether something, maybe there is a fact that you want to argue whether it is okay or not okay. So that is questions of fact. Questions of value, is it the same? Is it valuable or not? Is it good or not? That is. And then policy, maybe sometimes I want to take that, maybe should we do online classes more or no? So that is a policy, and you want to question them. All right. Right, question of policy: whether a specific course of action should or should not be taken. Okay, normally issues dealing with policy, law, or regulation. And then for question for policy, we have two types. These are speeches that seek to gain passive agreement, which is they aim to affect the thinking of the listeners, meaning that you want to change their mind. Maybe you want to talk about why online learning is better than in-class learning. So maybe they are thinking that, okay, in classroom learning is better, so you are trying to advocate online learning. So you want to use the speech to let them agree with you. Passive agree, meaning that maybe whenever they listen to you, they will feel like, okay, this person is telling some truth in that, and then we can believe in that, right? So that is passive agreement. For speeches that seek to gain immediate action, it means that you want them to do something after they listen to you. Okay, maybe you want to, for example, the gun laws. For example, you have been you are trying to advocate that gun laws should be enforced more in, maybe not in our country, maybe in another country. So with that, you want them, the audience, to like do something with it. Don't just stay there, listen and agree. You want them to take action. Maybe they want to vote for something, so something like that. Okay, political speeches are usually these questions of policy, right? They want you to agree and then take action based on that, either one. Okay, first one, speech to gain passive agreement. What does it mean? Okay, the speaker's goal is to convince the audience that the given policy is desirable without encouraging the audience to take action in support of the policy, meaning that you want them to agree but they don't have to take any action. Okay, specific purposes for speeches to gain passive agreement is that you want to persuade my audience that capital punishment is unethical. So you want to persuade them that they shouldn't think that capital punishment is ethical. It should be unethical. So you want them to agree with you. That's the only that's the simplest way to explain this. Maybe another specific purpose, to persuade my audience that there should be stricter safety standard on amusement park rides. So you want to argue that the current amusement park ride is not safe, and then you want stricter safety standard. So you want them to agree with you. Okay. On the other hand, speech to gain immediate action is to convince the audience to take action in support of given policy. Passive agreement is just you want them to agree with you. They listen to you, they agree, and then finish. But for immediate action, you want them to do something after listening to you. You want them to, for example, if political speeches, you want them to vote for the correct person. Or maybe after you listen, you give their own policy, you want them to do something. For example, why people should recycle more. So the action here, you want them to recycle more, something like that. Okay. So some specific purposes for speeches that seek immediate action are to persuade my audience to donate blood. So you are trying to let them do it. Okay, you want to ask them to do it. For example, donate blood, you want ask them to donate blood. Second one, to persuade my audience to vote in the next election. Okay, so you are asking them to put in action of after they have listened to you. Okay, right. Organizing speeches on questions of policy. There are several ways to organize your speech. First of all, we have problem solution. From problem, we move to the solution, and then you have the problem cause solution. We have the comparative advantages, and we have the last one, Monroe's motivated speakers. This is the one that we will be focusing on for your persuasive speech. Okay, right. Monroe's motivated sequence. It is a 5-step sequence for speeches that seek immediate action, meaning that this is part of immediate action. Okay, speech of immediate action. So there are 5 steps here. You can remember it as NSVA, or attention, need, satisfaction, visualization, and action. So let's look at one by one. Attention means that you want the audience to pay attention to you. So you want to gain their attention. You want to attract them into listening to you. That is attention. Second one is need. So you want to show the need for change. Why they have to change from this to this? Because you want them to do something with it. You want them to take immediate action. You need to show why they need to do that. Okay, that is where the need comes from. Third one, satisfaction, meaning that you provide solution. For example, you provide a way for them to do it. For example, you want to ask them to donate blood. So provide a solution. Maybe go to the clinic, go to the hospital. Maybe there are some people who are doing like what we say, donating blood donation event. Those can be part of the solution. Okay, and then you can move on to visualization. Visualization is enhanced solution by visualizing benefits. You need to show them that the solution that you provide, what will happen with that. Okay, what the images that you can conjure up in them, so that maybe after they donate blood, they can see a lot of people getting the donation. They will less people needing blood for something like that. So you visualizing why the benefits of you doing that. And then the last one is the action, meaning that you want to convince them to do it. For example, you want them to donate blood. So how do you do that? You use the action part. You persuade them, you recommend them, you suggest them to do the action. Okay? So remember, each part of the motivated sequence means that you need to follow from A to move to the N, to the S, to the V, to the A. So if you follow this, it will be, your persuasive speech will be very good. Okay? Right, this is an example of persuasive speech, which is the dangers of cell phones. Okay? So the first one is the speech on question of policy, seeking immediate action, meaning that at the end of the speech, you want the audience to take action. Okay? The specific purpose is that to persuade my audience to change the way they use their cell phones. So at the end, you want them to change the way they use their cell phones. So the central idea here is that because of health risks associated with cell phone radiation, you should avoid pressing your cell phone against your head while you're using it. So that is the central idea, because you want the topic here is you want to tell about the dangers of cell phone, so that the whole speech should be centralized on the idea of the dangers. Okay, and then the method of organization should be Monroe's motivated sequence. Alright, so there is a video in here that I will provide later for you to see, but so far that is all for me. So we look at persuasive speech, and then what is persuasion, how do you persuade, the types of persuasive speech, and we look at Monroe's motivated sequence. So thank you very much for listening to me. My name is Shazwan. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.